out of nowhere, sucker punch to the face and said, "Excuse me? You think you're gonna have peace here in second year? No, my baby, no." What's good, YouTube? It's your girl T coming back at it with another video. If it is your first time ever seeing me, I do hope it's not your last. Make sure you smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for tuning in to yet another video. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video, it's going to be a sit down video. We're going to be getting comfortable and I'm just going to be talking today, which I really hope you guys enjoy just as much as you do my vlogs, which will be back as soon as possible. Whenever I find some free time to vlog, I'll definitely do that. But until then, I really do appreciate all your support, all the likes, all the comments, all the views. We are on the road to 2K subscribers, 2,000 subscribers. So if you are not yet subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a comment. Let me know what types of videos, in terms of sit down chit chat videos, what type of content are you looking for me to provide? Do you guys want me to be sharing more of my personal thoughts and experiences on certain things that I go through in medical school? Do you guys want me to be giving advice, motivation? Like, let me know, okay? Because I'm more than comfortable and willing to put out that content for you guys, but only if there's interest for that type of content. But anyway, I've been talking for way too much. Let's get into the video. All right, so just to give you guys a bit of background on what led me to create this video, it was right at the beginning of the holidays, and I had put out like an Instagram anonymous Q&A type of thing, situation, vibe, whatever. And people were sending me questions, and some of those questions were related to things that I would recommend for first year medicine at Stellenbosch University, like getting a stethoscope, scrubs, lab coat, textbooks, the works. And I realized that not a lot of people know this, but Stellenbosch has actually changed their medical school curriculum. Well, not only the medical degree program, but also other health science degrees offered at the university, such as physiotherapy, dietetics, and I think also the nursing program. I'm not too sure, but yeah, quite a lot of the health science degrees at Stellenbosch University have changed their curriculum. So it's actually kind of hard for me now to give you guys advice or like recommend things for you for the next set of doctors or like future medical doctors that will be coming in at Stellenbosch University, because the curriculum has changed. So I'm currently in second year and I'm still doing the old curriculum. So my cohort is doing the old curriculum. We're going to be the last year group to do this specific curriculum. So in my case, I can talk to someone in 5th year, 6th year, or even 3rd year and ask them for advice about what I'm currently learning and studying, because it's the same curriculum. They've done the same modules, and most of the time the lecturers and the doctors, whoever it is that's presenting the work to us, is the same as the person presenting the work 3 years ago, right? But then in the case of first year medical students, they can't ask me for any advice or tips or recommendations because they're doing a totally different curriculum. Now with the new curriculum, there are some things that overlap, and I could still like give them general advice about anatomy and physiology, things like that. But honestly speaking, a lot of things are still up in the air, new, fresh, and like no one has gone through that. So it's kind of hard for us older students to give them advice. So, long story short, the curriculum has changed, and I thought it would be fun to just sort of like let you guys in on what we are currently learning as a part of the old curriculum, and just give my thoughts and opinions on the modules that we were doing. Because once my year group is done with these modules, like they're never going to be there in a sense. So yeah, let's make history together. I should stop singing, but anyway, let's get into the video. Okay, with all that said and done, that brings us to a new segment on my channel that I'm so excited to introduce, and I hope you guys enjoy it, called Rating My Modules. So like I said, once my year group finishes a specific module, that module essentially doesn't exist anymore. Like the students doing the new curriculum might come across the same content and do similar stuff, because to be honest, medicine doesn't change that much. So the basic principles governing an organ or an organ system is still the same. So they might still learn that information, but it's not going to be packaged the same way. It's not going to be called the same thing. So that's why essentially that module won't exist after we've done it. So because of that, I thought it would be a great chance for me to really go in depth and sort of talk about the modules that we're doing and how I felt about them, especially once I'm over the module. Like, I think it only makes sense for me to come back after I'm done with a particular module and talk about it, rather than talking about the module whilst I'm still doing it, or I still have exams and I haven't officially passed the module. You get me? But anyway, let's get into the video. For the last time, this is the last time I'm saying this, let's get into the video. So in first semester, I did 3 modules: the respiratory system, the cardiovascular system, and the gastrointestinal system. So for this video, I'm going to be talking about those 3 modules and rating them out of 10. And yeah, I hope it's an interesting one. Anyway, so just to give you guys an overview of how our current modules work, since these are theory modules, for second year, the theory modules are divided into like 2 parts. You have the preclinical part and the clinical part. The preclinical part essentially looks at the organ or organ system without disease. So that's how your body is meant to function, the normal way in which your body is meant to look like and function. The preclinical part of that module covers 4 parts. 4 parts. I'm pretty sure it's 4 parts. So we look at the anatomy, which is where is this organ related? Like, where in the body do you find it? What's next to it? What's behind it? What's on top of it? What's below it? What blood supply goes to that organ or organ system? What nerves supply it? Things like that related to anatomy. And then we look at physiology, which is how does it work? So for example, with the heart, when we're looking at the physiology of the heart, is how does it actually pump blood from one chamber of the heart to the next and then to the rest of your body? How is it able to supply blood to the rest of your body? So that's the physiology. And then we also have histology, which essentially is like, okay, what tissues make up the heart? What are the cells that make up the tissues that make up the heart? How do they look like? like, yeah, it's like yeah. And then last but not least, we also have embryology, which is how did that organ or organ system develop during, I'm really just about to say embryology, and that was the name of the thing. Anyway, embryology looks at how that organ developed when you were a fetus, an embryo in your mommy's little tummy. So that's the preclinical aspect of the module. And then the clinical aspect of the module looks at what happens when you get sick, when that organ or organ system isn't functioning the normal way that it's supposed to function. So with the clinical stuff, we look at all the diseases that can affect that part of your body. And we also look at the treatment and the pharmacology. Pharmacology is just the study of drugs. So we look at the drugs that are used to fight off this disease. How does it work? Why do you use it for TB and not for asthma? Things like that. So that's all covered in the clinical aspect of the module. So for my first semester modules, that's how they were divided up into preclinical and clinical. And then throughout the module, we would write a test for the preclinical aspect, and then we would write a test for the clinical aspect, which was our EOB. Sometimes the EOB, or end of block, would also include the preclinical stuff. So now you were basically writing a test, like one really big test on everything that you've studied in that module. Or other times you were strictly just writing the EOB on the clinical aspect of that module. And then after that, at the end of the semester, so like in June, we wrote our exams, and with the exams we wrote on everything. So preclinical and clinical, that's your exam. So yeah, that's how the module was divided up. And now I'm going to go even more in depth and explain to you what I liked and disliked about each module. Starting off our review, I'm going to be talking about the respiratory system, also just commonly known as RESP, and this was our first module of the year. Now, I'm already going to give it -1. By the way, the ratings are out of 10. So I'm already going to give it -1 point because it was the first module and I didn't know what to expect. So everything was just shaky from the beginning. I mean, everyone tells you that second year is a lot academically. The workload is ridiculous. So I kind of like prepared myself for a lot of work. But actually being knee deep in RESP, guys, like, I don't think any amount of preparation would have helped me deal with the amount of workload in RESP. So -1 for just, like, it knocked me out. Imagine I'm walking into the new year, second year is gonna be great, I'm optimistic, I'm not gonna let other people's negative opinions ruin second year for me, and then RESP just came out of nowhere, sucker punch to the face and said, excuse me? You think you're gonna have peace here in second year? No, my baby, no. So RESP, definitely, it shocked me, it surprised me. I was overwhelmed by how much work there was. Although it was a shock to the system and the content was a lot, I will say that the content was interesting. I did find myself in certain parts of the module actually enjoying what I'm learning. And I think between first year and second year, you start to feel more like a medical student, and you can actually see that at the end of this degree, I am going to be a doctor, because the information we were learning about, it was about diseases, and these are diseases that are common in society that you hear about and see every day, you know? So actually being able to learn something that was relevant, it made me feel more certain and sure in my decision to study medicine. So that was really a bonus, because coming from first year, sometimes you're doing some modules in first year and you don't feel like you're a medical student. But RESP made me feel like a doctor, like being able to understand everything about asthma and asthma attacks. I was just there like, bro. But yeah, content wise, it was interesting, but I'm going to have to give RESP -1, because the information started getting so repetitive, and I feel like just talking about first semester modules, all of them do get tiring because they were 7 or 8 weeks long. So imagine in high school, like, you're doing physics, maths, geography, drama, music, all at the same time, right? Like, I feel when you do a lot of subjects, yes, it's kind of hard to study for all of them at the same time, but you give yourself a break from a topic. Like, if maths is overwhelming you, if maths is boring, if maths is not giving the way it's supposed to give, at least you can go to physics and study physics or do physics. You can go to music, you can go to anything else. But with first semester modules, like when you are doing RESP, that is the only thing you are doing. So for the next 7 or 8 weeks, which is basically 2 months of your life, you are learning one topic, just one topic. It's like doing maths for 2 months. No physics, no music, nothing, just you and maths. So it does get boring and repetitive in the middle of the module, because you feel as though you're hearing the same thing. So I'm definitely going to give RESP -1. It felt repetitive. I just kept on hearing asthma, 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 TB, 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 and I was like, no, sweetie, like, it just stops giving the way it's supposed to give. Like, I got so bored in the middle of RESP, and this was at like week 3 of the module. I still had 4 other weeks to go, and I was already like, I'm done. You need to be over. Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. So -1 for being boring and repetitive. And then another downfall about RESP, I think this just links to the fact that everything just felt so new. It was the first time doing dissections. It was the first time we had a spot test. And so anatomy, like the preclinical side of RESP, it really knocked me. It threw me off. I did not enjoy the spot test. And that also reflected in my marks. Like, it brought down my average. Things were shaky. A part of me was there like, am I really gonna pass this module though? So I'm gonna have to give RESP another -1, because that anatomy spot test, it came out of nowhere. It threw me off. I wasn't a fan. I was really not a fan. But anyway, I think that's all I have to say about RESP. It was interesting at the beginning, but I got bored very easily, and it didn't stimulate me the way I wanted to be stimulated, you know? Like, my brain was just there like, okay, lungs, okay, asthma, this is fun, this is exciting, this is new. And then 2 seconds later, it was like, this is boring. So there's literally nothing more I can add about my experience with RESP. Next up on the list is the cardiovascular system, simply known as cardio. Now, if you've watched all of my vlogs from this year, then you know that there was a time in my life where I was within tears over cardio. I wasn't having the greatest of experience, but before I get into that, like, despite that moment of weakness in cardio was actually my favorite module in first semester. So just to speak on the positives about cardio, number 1, content wise, if I had to compare cardio to RESP and GIT, cardio had the least amount of content. It wasn't that much, and it was very nice when it came to studying because I didn't have that much to get through. Like, the amount of topics or themes that I had to cover weren't a lot, which was just amazing, because not having a lot to study is just like, that's a medical student's dream. Like, imagine only having to study 5 topics for one thing. Like, that would just be amazing, but that's not my reality. But in terms of the other 2 modules that I had in first semester, cardio came number 1 in having the least amount of work, so that was a bonus. And then in terms of how interesting or boring the content was, in my opinion, it was very interesting. I enjoyed cardio. I loved it so much. It gave, like, you know, when something just gives the way it's supposed to give, it gave. And this was just chef's kiss. Like, honestly, I don't know what it was about the cardio content, but I just thoroughly enjoyed myself. And every time I had to study, things would just be flowing into my brain. Like, things would just enter my brain so easily. It just made sense. I enjoyed it so much. Like, I feel like I'm fangirling over cardio. But anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed my time during cardio. Like, even in terms of getting bored, I think I only started getting bored of cardio in week 6 of 7, like right before my EOB. And that was only because, like, I was just there like, okay, we've been doing this for long enough now, let's switch it up. But other than that, I feel like compared to my other modules, I was interested and engaged for the longest time. So I think that was also just a bonus, the fact that I didn't get bored of it very early on like I did with RESP. Now that we've gotten all the positive stuff out of the way, cardio's downfall, where I am removing the points, I think I'm gonna say -2 for cardio, because ECGs, I said this in my other vlog, ECGs was my downfall. I don't know what it was about ECGs, but it took me the longest time to grasp them. I was so confused. It was to the point where I even stopped going to lectures because my lecturer was ahead. He was on point number 20 and I'm still trying to understand point number 2. We were not on the same page. So I literally had to stop going to lectures, teach myself ECGs, go to YouTube to learn ECGs, rewatch all the other lectures that he had already given us for ECGs, just so that I could understand ECGs. And honestly, after that, ECGs made so much sense. I finally understood ECGs. I don't know why it took me that long to understand them, but it just did. But yeah, life got better after I understood ECGs. But before that, I was down bad. I was down horrendous. Guys, when I tell you, the whole of first semester, I never cried, I never broke down, except for one time, which was the day before our physiology test for cardio, and that's when we were going to be doing like ECGs. Like, majority of the test was just ECGs. That was the only time I cried. 6 months, from January to June, doing first semester of second year, I never cried except for that one day, the day before my ECGs test. I was down bad. So that's why, like, cardio gets -2 because of that, because ECGs just had me down bad, bro. It had me down horrendous. But we are up now. I can confidently say that I passed cardio. So yeah, if you guys need a cardiologist, I'm here. But would I become a cardiologist? I don't think so, only because I would have to deal with ECGs every day, and I feel like having to teach myself ECGs every day would be my 13th reason. But yeah, that was cardio in a nutshell. Last but not least, the gastrointestinal system, also just known as GIT. If you've watched my last vlog, then you already know that I thoroughly, deeply, intensely, with every fiber in my being, I despise GIT. GIT was my final straw. The minute I started GIT, I knew that I wanted to be over with the semester. Like, I was done with second year. Like, this was me every day. Time out, time out, time out. I need a time out. I need to go home. I'm tired of this. That is what GIT was. It was torture. It was pain. And I just needed it to end. I was literally just physically and mentally drained at this point of the semester. On top of that, we didn't have an EOB weekend between cardio and GIT. We finished cardio, like we wrote our cardio end of block on Tuesday, and then literally on the Wednesday, we had classes for GIT. We were learning. The day after writing a test, we were learning. There was no break in between the two modules, and I feel like that just made the situation worse in terms of how tired I was emotionally, physically, mentally. All the lees you can think of, romantically, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of them, done. I was done. And that's another reason why I'm subtracting -1 from GIT. Why was there no break after finishing cardio? Why? And every year people say that when you start GIT, they give you the first week off so you can have like an EOB weekend, you can chill, they don't give you a lot of work. For our year group, they said no. They said you are gonna learn. They said you are gonna have classes. They said we don't care about your physical and mental well-being. You are going to suffer. And that's what happened. Because I had such a negative mindset, like I was just in a negative headspace the whole time. From the minute I started GIT, because I had that negative mindset, it just carried on for the rest of the module. So content wise, I didn't enjoy it. I found it boring. And guys, there's only, like, to be honest, as much as I was in a negative headspace, I think the content in itself was just always going to be boring, because I don't know how you can make poop interesting. Like, I don't know how you can do that. So I think even just GIT as a subject, you have to be a special type of person, in my opinion, to want to be a gastroenterologist. Like, why would you want to be dealing with intestines for the rest of your life? I don't know. I really just personally feel like you need to be a special type of person to want to go into that field of medicine. So yeah, for me, content wise, it was boring. So that's another -1 from my side. And the last -1 that I'm going to give to GIT, actually I'm going to make it -2. I'm going to make it -2, is the fact that the content in GIT, it was too much. I'm pretty sure I even said it in my previous vlog. It felt like cardio and resp combined. And some, like, it felt like 2 modules combined plus a bit more. That's how much work was in GIT. I thoroughly did not enjoy my time, and I feel like I'm reliving my trauma that was GIT, and I don't want this whole vlog to just be me shouting about how traumatic. Do you know what trauma is? I don't want to keep on shouting about how traumatic GIT was, so I'm just gonna end it off there and say that it was the worst module that I've ever done in the past 2 years that I've been studying medicine. GIT, do not recommend. Skip that baby. Skip it. Skip. But my overall ratings, in third place we have GIT. I think I subtracted about 5 points from GIT, and I'm happy with giving it 5 out of 10. To be honest, because I hate GIT so much, I think I'm gonna bump it down to a 3 out of 10, because guys, I've never been so negative about something in my whole entire life. Like every day I just found myself complaining about GIT. Like I don't think I've hated something that much, so I'm gonna bump it down even more to a 3 out of 10. And then in second place I have RESP. I feel like the positives and negatives about RESP balanced each other out in the end. And to be honest, I think RESP is currently sitting on a 6 out of 10. I think I subtracted 4 points for RESP, but I'm gonna give it a 0.5 point, so I'm gonna bump it up to 6.5, only because after I had done cardio and then during exams I was now studying for RESP again, RESP made a lot more sense now that I had that cardio knowledge as well. So I don't know why, but during exam season I was enjoying studying RESP because it made much more sense than it did at the beginning of the year. And that was only because some of these diseases and conditions in RESP are affected by the cardiovascular system. So I think having that cardio knowledge it made me understand some of these RESP conditions better. So that's why I'm going to give it a little bump up, just to be generous. But in first place, the mother of all modules, the best module of first semester, in my opinion, goes to cardio. And cardio is sitting at an 8 out of 10. Cardio only lost marks because ECGs didn't love me back at the beginning, and it was the only time in the whole 6 months that I cried over a module. So yeah, cardio, you hurt me there in the beginning with ECGs, but overall you are a babe. I still wouldn't be a cardiologist, but you are a babe with a magnificent 8 out of 10. That's it from me. I truly hope you enjoyed this first installment of rating my modules. Comment down below what more you would like to see from me in terms of content, and also do tell me if you enjoyed today's video. Until then, I can't wait to see you guys. Stay wonderful, stay blessed, and goodbye. Called rating my modules. Wait, I think that covers it. There's just a lot of movement happening, and it's giving me such anxiety to film, but we are here. There's nothing else I can do. If you're my friends who live in the same section as me and you are watching this, yes, you guys are making noise. I'm joking. So starting off our review, I'm going to talk about the respiratory So